Well, let's look at several practice questions in chapter 15. So the first one, in June 2009, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported an adult population equal to 234.9 million, a labor force of 154 million, and employment of 141.6 million. Then based on these numbers, please compute the unemployment rate. So how can we get the unemployment rate? Based on the unemployment rate formula, so the U rate formula tells us it will equal to the numbers of unemployment, right? Unemployed divide the numbers of labor force, okay? And then times 100%. We have already known that the labor force equal to 154 millions. And at the same time, we notice the employment equal to 141.6 million. Then we know that labor force has two subcategories, right? Employment and unemployment. So we already know the labor force in this question equal to 154 million and the employment equal to 141.6 million, right? So can you get the unemployment number? So this unemployment number is just equal to 154 minus 161.6, which will give us, this part will equal to 12.4 million. Okay, so those are the people who are unemployed in the society. Therefore, unemployment rate. So based on this, we can compute the U rate will equal to 12.4. This is the numbers of unemployed divide labor force, 154 million, and then times 100%. If you use calculator, it might give us the unemployment rate nearly 8.05%. Okay, so this is how we compute the unemployment rate. Now let's look at the second practice question. Suppose that a country will have an adult population about 25 million, a labor force participation rate equal to 60%. And they also tells you the unemployment rate equal to 6% and want you to compute how many people are employed. Okay, so based on this question, we can first write down, we have the adult population, right? Equal to 25 million. And we'll also have the labor force participation rate. So labor force participation rate equal to 60%. So based on this, can you compute the labor force? If you still remember, we talked about the formulas to compute the labor force participation rate, right? So labor force participation rate will equal to labor force divide the adult population, right? And then times 100%. We notice now the labor force participation rate equal to 60%, and we already have the population equal to 25 million. So can we get the labor force? Of course we can. So based on this, we can have the labor force will equal to the adult population times the labor force participation rate. So this will give us the labor force equal to 25 times 60%, which will have 15 million people in the labor force. And we also know that the unemployment rate equal to 6%. So I will just write it down. unemployment rate, or we call U rate, equal to 6%, right? So now U rate equal to 6%. Can you get the number of unemployed? So based on this, we can get the people who are unemployed would just equal to 15 million. That is the labor force times the unemployment rate, 6%. Because as we talked about before, according to this U rate, we notice the unemployment, the numbers in unemployment will equal to U rate times the labor force. So here I use labor force times U rate. So this will give us the unemployment number equal to 0.9 million, okay? And at the end, we can compute the employed number, okay? So employee number will just equal to labor force subtract unemployed, and which will equal to 15 subtract 0.9, and then finally we can get the employee number will equal to 14.1 million. So these are the two practice questions using the formulas of unemployment rate, labor force participation rate. Okay, and these two formulas will be used very frequently in chapter 15.